So again, for the last people who entered, please rename yourself so that we can see who you are. You can do that by clicking on participants, finding yourselves on the site, then clicking on more, and then on rename. Another reminder before we start, because we have quite a packed program for today, please put your questions in the chat below, and we'll have a moderator, Genevieve, which will, she said hello, which will then moderate the discussion later. So I think we can start. If everything is okay and nobody has an immediate question. So we are here today because there was this synergy created. This is the first webinar, the first interactive webinar that sort of connects the Centaur program with Rispetu, and this webinar, is focused on the first-hand experiences of implementing circular economy. We will hear from experts of the Rispetu program in Corsica, which is an island, and we have a lot of people participating from Centaur. And what is Centaur? Centaur stands for Circular Economy in Tourism. This is a COSME project, and it runs since September 2020, and it will continue to run till September 2023. What Centaur does is that it implements a capacity building and support scheme for small and medium enterprises of the tourism sector in 5 countries. The 5 countries are Italy, Spain, North Macedonia, Moldova, and Greece, and it has Cyprus as well as a collaborator in that. Through Centaur, we want the partner countries to reach different levels of circular economy innovations and introduce themselves in the sustainable tourism sector. Centaur aims specifically to engage in local development, development of sustainable tourism, and proposing a focus on waste in the food sector, plastic-free offer, and rethinking packaging, the collaborative consumption, etc., etc. Within Centaur, there has been a capacity building and training program with sessions that have been held off and online for tourism SMEs in these different partner countries. And through these training sessions, through this capacity building, the companies have been provided with the necessary skills and the appropriate mindset and resources so that they can develop innovative solutions towards a circular economy. An e-platform helps the participant SMEs train their staff and themselves through different modules, and an online forum offers itself for collaboration between themselves so that they can communicate with each other within and outside of their countries. This is the first webinar of a series of similar events like study visit and conferences. And this is important because we want a community of stakeholders to be created, because we value the connections and the synergies that can be created when we have the space to talk with each other about best practices, about how other people do it, how other hotels and other establishments in the sectors do it. So I will leave the floor to Dr. Dominique Vachalde, who is a sustainable hotel expert and trained in Rispetu. He will introduce Rispetu and the agenda for today. And before moving on, I would like to thank all the hotel directors for joining us today and who will talk about their experience in sustainable tourism. excuse my pronunciation. I hope I don't murder your names. So we have Blai Rosum from La Roseraie and La Manoir guest houses, Marine Guglielmacci from Saint Erasmus Hotel, Marie-Joseph Muccielli from Cabo Bianco, and Silvio Iacovino from Santa Giulia Palace. So I will leave the floor to Dr. Bachalder, and please remember to put your questions in the chat if you have any. Thank you. I will mute myself now.
Thank you very much, Daphne. I am Dominique. I'm very happy to see you. And thank you very much to all persons from the program to be with us today. I know that it's a very difficult period for our hotel because we are open actually, and it's a very busy period. But thank you for everybody to be there. So I will share my screen. Just tell me if it's okay for you and see if you see it. Is it okay for you? So I will first I will show you the map with all hotels which participate at the program with Spiritu in Corsica. So you can see that we are almost 25 hotels in Corsica, and our program in the 19 was on the ADEME and the program in France that we will recognize to be an exemplar program. So the program starts in Corsica, and now 27 hotels in France take the same methodology than ours to do the same. So it's very interesting for us, and we share our tools and our methodology from different persons, and it's a very pleasure today to share it with you. So I will show you that is the heart of the program, and so we started 8 years ago, and we started with one hotel, and now we are 25 hotels in Corsica. And the very important point to understand, it's that we start, and it's a very practical program. So it's very important for us to be very close on the hotels, and to be practical, and to use the simple thing, and to progress step by step, but to progress. So the more important thing for us, it's to progress every year. So we have different indicators to show the progress, and we will present you and we will take the first example that one hotel on the Blai with Anglophone, so it will be easier for her to present the program, and I give the time to Blai to present the program. Thank you very much, Blai.
Thank you, Dr. Bachalder. Just a comment, maybe if you can make the presentation full screen, that would be easier in talking.
I will do it.
Thank you.
Dominique, could you put, because I have not prepared slides at all, maybe you could put an example of our reporting online while I talk. Vous savez, le report de suivi.
I will share it.
So I will, so I'm Blai Rosum. I'm from the Manor. It's a high-scale bed and breakfast. Are you hearing me properly? Everything okay? It's a high-scale bed and breakfast in Calvi, Corsica. And I also have, so I'm a bit different from the hotel. So we're widening our actions from hotels to bed and breakfasts and to campings into residences. I also have self-catering apartments. So I'm trying to apply our system to all of this. I actually grew up in the States, but with parents who were very sensitive to the problems of ecology. We had a radiant heat floor in the 50s. So, and my parents grew, we ate off the land from the garden, made our own jam, and all other edibles. So I grew up in this state of mind, helped my parents re-insulate the house, turn all of the windows into double pane passive solar. And when I first bought the manor, it was not the manor, it was a ruin. And in this ruin, I wanted to do something ecological. Well, in 2003, the only things I could find were thermal hot water heating. Well, that was a good start. In 2013, when I wanted to do geothermal, I could not do geothermal because it was the place where I could install it on my property was too far off. So we went ahead and just went with, I did do radiant heat in the floor, but with heat pumps. And then I did thermal hot water heating. In 2013, things had technically changed. So I went ahead and did thermodynamic thermal, which is with solar panels on the roof. It does my hot water for the house, the heating for the floor and the rest of the house. And it also shunts down water to the pool so that I use very little gas for heating the pool now, the pool and the jacuzzi. So that's just to give you an idea that I always was in this frame of mind. In 2017, I first met Dr. Farshad, and I wanted to join the program. But since I'm a small structure and very, very caught up with other things, I practiced what he taught starting in 2017, but did not join the team of Respeto until 2020. So what I'm trying to say is that 2017, I started what he told us to do, but I did not share, because that is very important, is that all the hotel owners and participants of the program share their solutions, share the progress they make. And he's put on, okay, you put on the 4 principles of our program, but we also have a reporting. It starts simply with figuring out how much water, how much electricity, how much you spend for linen, how much you spend for the food in the morning, and making sure that your food is local, to use bulk when you can, and not have all those packaging to recycle. At the same time I looked at Respeto, I also investigated belonging to Ecolabel. Ecolabel is great, but all you do is check boxes. You don't work with your team. You don't work with the producers. You are in your corner and you check boxes, be able to get your certificate. For me, there are certain of our hotel owners who have gone on to Ecolabel, have gone on to Claver, but they started with Respeto. And for me, that is my message today, is that the ecology is about sharing, progressing, each on its own level. A lot of our hotel owners have moved on to other types of energy, are doing other such as, well, she'll talk about it herself later on, ocean thermal energy, A lot of people have, like me, thermal solar panels. Others have installed photovoltaic solar panels. Recovering gray water, collecting rainwater. It's not just recycling your waste. And that's what, that's my message. Have I forgotten anything, Dominique?
No, it's fair. Congratulations, Blythe. Was perfect.
I tried to make it short because I had something longer, but I see there's so many people. I think it's best to let everyone speak.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that Marie-Joseph is with us. Marie-Joseph?
I'll say one thing more while she's connecting is that with the COVID, we all had to find solutions that also helped us find other solutions like ozonated water, which Marine will talk about, I'm sure. I personally opted for high pressure dry steam, all of these, and of course we all try to use products that are according to, I always forget its name, the EN 14476. But to come back to something that always gets me upset about Ecolabel is you receive Ecolabel products which are produced at the other end of the world, which are in one-shot dispensers, which you throw away and you cannot refill like our local person, Cornella, does. And then there's also the short circuit possibility of being delivered by local producers to the professionals. And there's a person in Corsica that has done a platform for that called OCare. Okay, I'm finished this time.
We have a question for you from Nadia, who is asking, would you advise to take Ecolabel certification to an accommodation small business?
I would say it is a plus because all of your Scandinavians, all of your Northern Europeans are very conscious of Ecolabel. It is definitely a plus. Actually, it's something that we we use the tools and Rispetto for the hotels who feel comfortable once they are participating in Rispetto. I would say yes, definitely. Marine could talk about that more than I because she has decided she's already done Clavert and she is going on to Ecolabel. I think it is a good idea, but I don't think it's I don't think it should be your first goal. Your first goal should be to progress, find out, to analyze where your problems are and progress, and then you can move on to Ecolabel. It can be done at the same time if you have a big team, obviously, but I don't think it should be, as I'm saying, checking boxes is not what the college is all about. It is a good idea. Yes, if you want to do it, if you can do it, it's a very good idea. But it's not the final goal. The goal is sharing and progressing.
And Blake, could you explain just the green for the customer and try to make customer with us in the program?
Yes, also that's important. Also, I was talking about the producers and the hotel. It's also, we try, it's also the people that work for us. It's also our guests. Dominique has put on the slide the 10 main steps for when the guests come into your hotel. You give them what we call the knock door. It can hang off the doorknob, and it gives them just simple steps like closing down the air conditioning when you go out, or the heating, shutting the curtains during the day when it's hot, that's the client side of life. The customer side. The other side of life is to involve your teams, and that's what Rispetto is also all about, and which you do not achieve by checking boxes on a label. You need to involve your team, so they're careful about the linen. They analyze what's happening with the linen, whether it's coming back and being sent back out and being cleaned again because there's a hole in it and there's no point in cleaning it again. It should be taken out of the linen. Also, you take a water bottle off of the table. Instead of throwing it down the sink, or you put it on that plant over there that is thirsty. I mean, it's just little small things. When you give out your rooms, if your hotel is not full, you make sure that you give the rooms in winter, the ones that have the most sun, in the summer, spring, when it starts getting hot, the rooms that have less sun. That answer your question? Is that enough, Dominique?
Yeah, thank you very much. And Marie-Joseph, still there?
Bonjour, oui. Can you hear me?
I'm so happy to hear you, Marie-Joseph.
Good morning, Dominique.
Good morning.
Well, thank you for inviting me to share our experience with Rispetto. First, maybe I'll mention that Rispetto means respect in the Corsican language, which means respecting our environment, but also respecting our guests, respecting our nation, our water, etc. So we started with Dominique in 2018 with the Rispetto program. First of all, we already had a consciousness regarding environment. So we used to do different things. We used to produce as much as we could for breakfast with local ingredients and making most of it in-house with biological product as much as possible and local product as much as possible. We had many practices. For example, we decided to have 100 chicken in order to recycle all the waste from the kitchen, and then again our eggs then for our cooking procedures and our clients. So we did many different things. We had solar panels to preheat the water. So there was something there, but nothing was really organized. So when we heard about Rispetto, we thought, okay, we will have someone following us, guiding us towards something a bit more efficient. And the first step was to understand our performance on day one. And that was very interesting when Dominique pushed us, because he's very pushy in order for things to happen. And he was behind us. Every month we had those reunions forcing us to get ready, to be prepared for each reunion, to understand our performance with electricity, with water, heating, etc. And first of all, we realized that we had an important cost. We are very high-end hotels, so we offer many services, and we realized that at the end of the day, in order to give our client the service they were needed, with the infrastructure we had at the time, we spent a lot of money, and we didn't do it in an ideal environmental style. And that's the first thing that happened, was an internal audit to understand what was our position and to monitor our progresses also. So every year we could see how much we have progressed, how much we have saved in terms of energy, in terms of money also. And we started this road with Dominique in order to reduce as much as we could our impact on the Corsican environment. So the first step was this internal audit and our performance in order to view our progress. The second step was also to share our best practices and to benefit from the best practices of other hotels. We sometimes were even more ambitious than what Mr. Vachal suggested. I will take only one example. one day we were discussing about the change of linen in the room, because in 2018, we used to change our linen in the bedrooms daily, whether they were dirty or not, whether the towels, whether the guests wanted to change their bed linen and their towels. We didn't take that into account, and we systematically daily changed our linen. And so we started thinking that, oh, maybe we could ask the guests to mention putting, I don't know, a stone on the bed or a knock door on the door. If the guest did not want to change his linen, to let us know. And I took my personal example. When I go into a hotel, I say, oh yes, I'll put the stone on the bed so they don't change the linen. I don't need it to be changed daily. But then by experience, when I'm on holiday, I try to forget about everything. And in the evening, I would come back to the room and realize that the bed linen had been changed. I say, oh gosh, I forgot to put the stone on the bed. And from that reflection, we just decided rather to ask the guest to tell us when he didn't want to change his bed linen, to ask the guest to tell her when he wants to change his bed linen. So we decided that we would not change anymore systematically the bed linen, but only when the guest would put the knock door on the door, that would be a sign that he wants to change his bed linen. So the guest becomes an actor of our environmental system and our idea to protect our island. And even Mr. Vachal was not reluctant, but was just, okay, that's very courageous. But did you think about the perception of the guests of the quality? And I told him, yes, that's a big concern for me, because of course I cannot have a guest living in the hotel saying, oh, this is a dirty hotel, they never change bed linen. But I also knew I had a very strong team at the reception that would really force this conversation, this explanation to the guest, and that will make sure that the guest understands our politics regarding environment. And so if the guest understands, and if we put him a little reminder after 3 days, we have a little sign like that one that we put on the bed, just to make sure that he understood. And if he wants his bed linen changed, he just needs to put the knock door on. At the end of the first season, the other hotel part of the program asked me, so how is it going? How did it go? Did you have guests that were not happy, their bed linen were not changed or were complaining? Actually, we did not have even one guest that were not happy with the policy. And we had many guests that were delighted to be actor of our environmental policy, because we had a questionnaire asking them about their comments, their impressions, how we could improve, and all the feedback were positive. So we are still now, after 3 years, leading that policy, being very careful that when we introduce the room, we fully explain and get the attention of the guests on those specific aspects to make sure that if he wants his bed linen changed, they will be changed. But we realize that our consumption of bed linen are strongly reduced, because at the end of the day, the guest doesn't really want his bed linen to be changed daily. So that was only one example, and that was a shared practice with the other hoteliers, with the impact on guests of our new policies. Then, so we also went into avoiding the usage of the unique usage of some elements like straws, for example, at the bar. We tried different types of straw, the how do you call them? The straw that would dissolve in nature after 6 months. At least that was what was mentioned on the product. So I tried to put one of these straws in the soil, and I went back a year later and the straw was as I put it a year before. So I just realized that at the end of the day, we're trying to look for excuses to be environmentally happy because, oh, it's written on the box that it's biodegradable straw. But at the end of the day, it was not. So we decided also there not to put straws anymore systematically in our drinks as we used to do. We only have some straws, like, if you give me a second, I will show you the straw. We sourced this kind of straw that are natural straw that are produced in France. Is someone cultivating, I don't know which cereal anymore, and they collect the cereal and then they keep the straw. So we have those straws on backup at the bar, just in case a client asks us for a straw, we have those. But we decided not to put systematically straws in the glasses anymore, because we are really now trying to avoid completely one-use elements in the hotel. But mostly what I would say Rispetto brought to us, it's a way of thinking. Now, anytime we take a decision in the hotel, whatever it is, whether we are talking about organizing a wedding, the environmental aspect is fully part of the discussion. It has become a reflex. Our mind is trained, and every time we decide something to change, something new in the hotel, we have that aspect that comes into the reflection. And that's really what I really thank Mr. Vachal, because those monthly reunions actually change our way of thinking, and we cannot do hospitality as we used to do it before, only thinking of the guests, only thinking of the money, but thinking of the impact we have on a daily basis on our environment. And I think that's why I cherish the most with this experience in Rispetto, that at the end of the day, we nearly don't need Rispetto anymore, because our brain is trained to always have the Rispetto aspect in every policy we make in the hotel. And we arrived at a step that we did everything we could in our knowledge in order to have less impact. But then a technical aspect came in, and it started with our swimming pool. We have a very large swimming pool that we heat all summer long to 28 degrees, nearly on average. And because of its strange shape, it's impossible to cover the swimming pool. So we realized that had a very important impact, and we did not know how to solve this problem. So we actually had a technical survey done by technical experts, because there our competence had arrived at a final stage. And that technical survey made us look at this aspect of the swimming pool in a completely different manner. Originally, we were trying to think of how we can reduce our energy use in order to heat this pool. How can we reduce? How can we reduce? And at the end of the day, this technical survey explained to us that we were not taking the problem from the right side. He explained to us that at the end of the day, the problem was not so much the energy we used to heat the pool, but the fact that heating a pool, producing hot water, generates a lot of cold air. And what was a pity is that this cold air was dispersed in nature and was not reused internally in order to cool the hotel, in order to cool our fridge chambers. So it's at the end of the day, if you can continue to heat your pool, that's not an issue as far as you take the cold that you create heating and you use it to cool the rest of your hotel. And that was a completely different way of thinking for us. And that's why this survey went into a project. This project is called in French, Géo Marais Thermie, which will be ocean thermal energy. And heating this pool now, we are cooling the whole hotel. We are cooling also the staff hotel, and we are cooling the main fridges of the hotel. So at the end of the day, with the energy used with the pool, we don't need to use more energy in order to cool. And that was the interesting part of this project. That's why we are implementing it. It's the second project in Corsica using the sea as a geothermal source. And we are very happy to be in this huge project because we are in renovation of a hotel. It's not a construction, it's a renovation. So it will take at least 2 years to finalize. But that's where the Respector took us after 4 years to get into that depth, that technical depth. That's, I believe, a summary. Dominic, let me know if you would like me to add something or.
No, thank you very much. I think that you are an example about what is the culture, and not the, like Blaise said before, you're not scratch the crows, you just have the culture, and it's the more important. As soon as you have the culture to continue in this way, you will make a difference practice, and you will opportunity, and it's very important to have the culture. It's the more important, and I'm sure that now it's true that you have the culture, and you have the culture to share your experience, and your culture continue because you want to share. And when you have the culture and you want to share and you want to continue, and you know that you can learn when you share with someone else, like you do today. You say, oh, I have a big experience, and I can continue to learn, and it's very interesting for me to share, and then I will learn when I share, and it's what you do today, and it's very an example for us too.
No, thank you for putting that that spirit in our head, that way of looking at things, because yeah, that's why we treasure the most, and that's why we, as you just said, we'll keep on going now forever, because it's in our head and we just cannot ignore it anymore. Everything we do, we have that aspect that is key in the decision. And yes, sharing best practice is also important, because what's the point in having less impact as a hotel if all the other hotels don't have this kind of best practices? Our island needs all our hospitality sector to deeply get into that in order to have a significant impact.
And in fact, I think too that it's very important to participate at organization like today, because the most of the time when you talk about Corsica, we are thinking about the beautiful sea, beautiful mountain, and everything. But I think that we can show today that we have beautiful person too, and it's very important, because person like you and are in Corsica and have a very big experience now. And it's important to know that Corsica is not the sea and the mountain. There is beautiful person to make this like that, and it's very important for us too.
But it's interesting to see that there are many islands today in this program exchanging best practices. I think islands, in a certain way, know that they can make a difference and they can be role models. So I hope Corsica one day will be a role model.
I'm sure.
Thank you.
Islands are conscious of how fragile they are also. That's another point.
So thank you very much. It's we have finished our time. So thank you for everybody to listen to us. I don't know if you have many questions or not.
I have one question in the chat, but I'm not sure if it has been answered to. It's what is the interest of the Respector program for hotels or other companies that would like to participate?
Should I answer, Dominique?
Yeah, thank you.
Please.
I think the interest of Rispeto, as it was also said before, is like, it's not something that is imposed. Every hotel actually goes at its own rhythm, but there is so much stimulation behind that you try to go forward and faster, and every year show your progress and monitor your progress. So it's not only, as we said before, ticking some boxes, but it's really getting into a spirit that will make you want every year to evolve, that will make you take best practices from others. Because the fact of having those monthly meetings, at the end of the day, each and every one of the participants try different things, and you get the experience of others. I know our experience with the bed linen, knowing that the level of hospitality we give for other 4 or 5-star hotels, they were just expecting to see how it will go. You know, at the end of the day, we try things, each and every one of us in our area, and we give the feedback also, positive or negative, and everybody learn from the other. For example, one day we decided to use ozone water to clean the hotel rather than using different type of products. And that practice, I think, was copied in nearly all of the hotels of the Rispeto, because the experience of a few hoteliers was so positive. Because at the end of the day, you know, when you want to change a product, you want to change a practice, you always wonder whether it would be better than what you have. So if you have colleagues that test it for you, that have the same level of hospitality and that give you good feedback, it's much easier to make these kind of changes. And I think that the exchange of best practices and experiences is really one of the strengths of the Rispeto program.
Okay, thank you very much. We have another questions. Do you have concrete examples of strategies where collaboration happened between the different hotels of the Rispeto programs, like joint purchasing to reduce the costs?
I just gave one now, the ozoned water, which is a machine that changes water into ozonized water. Sorry, I don't know the exact terminology in English. And we use that to clean all our hotels, basically, from the windows to the surfaces. And I don't remember, we were not the first one to test it. There was another hotel that had tested and gave us really good feedback on it, also for cleaning the bathtub, for example. We were wondering whether it was strong enough, if people had suntan on them, creams, and that person did the different tests. And then we just decided, okay, we will buy this machine also, that will reduce our costs, that will be, it's natural, it's water at the end of the day, so we don't use anymore, I believe, in most of the Rispeto hotel, chemical products in order to clean. So it was big save of money, and also a completely different change of mind, but Dominique may have more examples.
Okay, thank you. Maybe you want to give another example, Dominique?
Yes, so you have many examples, but for example, the soap that you use in the room, where we're using a soap with a product in Corsica with huile essentielle, comment on dit ça?
Essential.
Essential
Oils, yeah.
Yeah, which is product in Corsica, and 5 liters container, and everybody use this one now, and it's product in Corsica, and it's very interesting for our partner because his company grew up, and it's very interesting for hotels because it's a product from Corsica, and the customers are very happy to use product from the island. It's a dynamic with all partners.
It uses refillable dispensers, and also the 5-liter containers can be returned. They're like returnable bottles. We have a person who does beer on the produces beer on the island, and all of the bottles are returnable. I mean, it's great to recycle stuff, but it's by throwing it in the right container. But it's also good to be able to turn it back to the producer, and the producer uses it again. That's
But then
really
there are,
and of course, there are special set up special pricing for Respeto members. And as I said before, there's also Au Carré, which has set up an online system for ordering, and then it reduces energy by making deliveries in the same region at the same time with different producers with just one truck instead of everyone running across the island to deliver. And it also reduces paper and time and money by doing the billing directly online.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
That's great. I
but
have many.
also,
Yeah.
Also, one last thing, which is not directly linked, but still, at the end of the day, the fact of being many hotels, we could negotiate companies, for example, reduction on insurance contracts. It's also being a pool of people. You can have an impact. We would go to the companies that are cleaning our linen, and we will ask them to be more ecological themselves. We would be, when you have 24 hotels, I believe in our region, we are probably 10 with the same supplier. We go to him and we tell him, now for us, it's important how you clean the linen, the product you use, the impact you use. So you also start having a strength as a group that make other changes in other related sectors and activities. But then we exchange on little things. On the straws, we can exchange. Also, we do recycling bins inside the bedrooms in our hotel. And some hotels were saying, oh, we would love to do it, but the bins are so ugly, we are not putting it into place. But then we show them the bin that we made, and they are really nice, because we also must be very careful. We have a hotel, we are a hotel of experience and style. Every room is different. So we have to be also very careful with design. So we say, no, it is possible to have recycled bins inside the bedrooms. Look what we've done. So you give also ideas and suppliers to the colleagues.
And I think too, it's very important for us to share information. For example, the French government proposed different possibility to finance to different equipment. But if you are not in the Respeto program, sometimes you can buy something and you don't know that you can have financial help from the government. And it's very important for us to share and to say, actually, you know, if you do that, you can have 70% from the government. And it's very important for us to share this information and to continue together. And sometimes one person can have a solution and it's good for another one, and we progress like that. And we are sure that the best solution to progress is to share, not to cross cases, but to share every time. And it's the best solution to learn to, and it's not to follow information and rapidly try to have a level. No, it's to be together, stay together and progress together, share together. And like that, you can continue a long time, because the most of hotels who want to have just a diploma, if you call them 1 year later, everybody stopped and it say, oh no, it was too difficult too many papers. We have to cross every time. We have auditor every time we come to control us, and they think that development is sustainable development is a control and crush cases. Absolutely not. And it's the more important is to share, to have fun, and to try to have fun, to share, to have happiness, to be friend, and to rest in contact, because over the program we rest in contact. When someone have a problem, we share the problem. When someone look for an employer, we look for an employer for him. And if we can share employment, we do that together. And it's the more important to have this culture, to share, to be together, to have happiness, to have a pleasure, to be together and to grow up together. It's the more important than the rest, the level, the diploma and everything, certification, it's nothing. If you want just to have a certification, you will call us on 1 year and you will say, oh, we stopped the certification because it's too complicated, and you have to manage the certification front of the manage that your hotel. And for us, it's important that the program stay in the hotel life, not against just in the hotel life. That is very important that the program grow up with the hotel and not à côté.
Next to it or imposing.
Yeah.
Yeah, next to it. It's very important that if you want to make sustainable development, the program have to be today, day after day, in your organization, not against. It's very important that otherwise, if you do that against, you after a few months you will stop it, because it is not a solution to grow up your company. And no, it has to be one project, and you do in the same times. It's very, very important. Not something against, but the same project.
Thank you, Dominique. I think Tatiana wanted to ask a question.
Yes, hello to everyone. Yes, my name is Tatiana Kiriak. I'm a facilitator in the Central project, and also an expert in green economy in the state organization for SMEs development. So my question is more about the circular economy in tourism, which we develop and we promote here. Regarding the state government program that we already financed more of the companies that they invested to reuse the wastewater. Now we are referring more and more on the recycling or the food waste, and also how to reduce the plastic. And here's many of the companies are asking how to develop the infrastructure. And my question is about maybe some of the ideas how to develop this kind of infrastructure to collect maybe the plastic, or to collect some of the food waste, that you can advise. Our companies are participating here. So some of the ideas that you already involved in Corsica, and how they can connect, I don't know, private companies or public institutions to develop this infrastructure. Some of you have the idea.
Fly.
Thanks. Great. I think, well, first of all, I'm not involved personally because I don't have a restaurant, but I know some of, maybe because Bianco does it, the compost, and there is a person who produces these special composters with earthworms in Corsica. I do not have all details because I'm not involved personally. As far as plastic goes, well, first of all, is try to make all of your producers to deliver you bulk and not in plastic or cardboard. And then the plastic recycling actually is something that can only be done locally. You need to see with your local, with the local. Normally, it's either the region or the town. I think that's probably true all over Europe. But the main thing is to receive your products in a form that does not produce a single-use bottle. And that comes back to what Capobianco was saying about, and Dominique was saying. The important thing is to use refillable bottles and containers that can be turned back, or bottles, glass bottles, to the brewery, containers that can be turned back, or the person that delivers you vegetables, he brings it he'll bring and deliver it to you directly into your fridge. He'll bring it in wood boxes, and he takes back the wood box and uses it for his next delivery instead of putting it in cardboard boxes. The point is to eliminate as much as possible the waste. And then of course, they were talking about recycling. We have a person who I don't see him at the moment, who recycles, is making the bins, I think, for Capobianco, Farepa, who recycles all of the not the water bottles are difficult because of as far as chemistry goes, it's very, very complicated. So he can only take the, what is it called in English? The bouchon, the screw on top, everything that's screwed on top. He recycles it and makes it into bins, can make it into pieces of recycled plastic that can be used to make outside furniture. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
If I can add,
Sure.
A list. Dominique can make a list. I don't have
the first thing that you have to think is that the best waste is the waste that you don't have. So
yeah,
the first
you eliminate
before everything, because the most of the time when you think about to don't have waste, you can have big diminution of your waste first. And for example, Capobianco have a chicken to use the most of the alimentation waste. Maybe you can explain your chicken, Marie-Joseph.
Our chicken strategy. Yes, I mentioned it before. So
100, isn't it?
100, yeah, 100 chicken, and now they have, I think, the best house with the best view of the whole hotel. We have designed. Well, I will explain another time, but as it would be too long, because I think the chickens are better treated even than our guests. But yes, what is true is that we try to avoid the waste from its origin. For example, for the water, we don't use any more water bottles. We have installed special filters that allow us to use our own water with this special filter, and we don't buy any more bottles of water. And exactly what we said before, we try to avoid the waste from the origin. Also, we take all our vegetables from local suppliers. So yes, they arrive with their boxes. They are not wooden boxes, they are plastic boxes, because it's easier for them to wash them and to make sure they're always cleaned. So that's why they cannot use wooden boxes. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because those bottles are reused and reused again. So sometimes plastic can be useful as far as it's not used as a one-use only purpose. We also have some meetings with local producers, with local fishermen, that we try to make the offer and the demand meet. So we have those meetings, those reunions, For example, ourselves, we are starting now to produce, to grow some vegetables in permaculture style. We know at some stage, sometimes we will have excess of production. When we have excess of production, it will go into that network of producers and buyers in order to have in our local communities eventually one day to be autonomous with food. And that is giving a lot of impulse also to the local politicians to make some lands available for more agriculture because there is a demand. So having those meetings with where offer and demands meet and discuss is extremely useful because they understand what our need as hotelier and restaurant owners. And we know what we can have supplies locally. So it's those kind of reunions, meeting often. You're showing our hotels, are you, with our naked women?
Very nice. Yes, regarding the farmers, I know the companies locally, they collaborate and also they have their proper own territory and they're like agro-tourism developing, which is good. And also we've just about the idea of connecting the stakeholders, I mean, to involve more and more stakeholders. And regarding the energy, because we now also we have a problem and we use a lot of energy in this sector. For example, how to develop a project of wind energy to develop. If you have some projects on this or experience, is it useful, and how to connect more of the companies to one wind energy source?
We have chosen the sea rather than the wind.
Yes, I know.
Probably because also physically the eolians are visually more impactant, and it's difficult on our territory to find locations for it. They could be offshore maybe. There are things also some project offshore, but we are more pointing on solar and water in order to help us with energy. I don't know if Dominique has some more insight.
No.
Okay, now wind, the eolians are probably because of their visual and noise impact. We are a small territory, they are not that popular at the moment. They are thinking of offshore ones in the north of the island, but I think there is some kind of resistance with it.
Thank you. We have many more questions in the chat, but I see we have already exceeded the time, so it's great to have so much interest. I think I've seen Elena maybe wanted to say something as well, so I will allow either Elena to ask a question, either I will ask another question from the chat, and then maybe we can transfer you the other questions apart and transfer them to the participants later on, if you agree.
Yes, Genevieve, I think good morning, everyone. Yeah, I think we can definitely pass the question and answer, later on. I just wanted to say 2 words at the end, just to motivate the SMEs. So if we have time for another question live, that would be good. Otherwise, we can leave it for later for written.
I would like to make a comment about the industrial windmills and eolians. I think, well, there's the visual impact, but there's also, for the moment, in any case, they have to be changed every 5 years. I'm having problems speaking English this morning. blades. The blades need to be changed every 5 years, and for the moment, those blades are not recyclable. So you're using something that is producing energy, but using it's made out of composites, which are not recyclable, and it is also producing not only noise, but it's producing magnetic fields, which we really don't know how people and animals react to it. I mean, I think it's a good idea, but it's I'm not sure it's the best idea. The ocean thermal energy for me is a lot less impacting on the environment. That's my personal reaction. And of course, in Corsica, we have the problem that the island is small and it's difficult to visually to put it in certain places.
Thank you so much for your information and insights.
Thank you very much for everybody. It's time to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a lot of pleasure to share
Thank you.
our experience with us, really.
Dr. Vachelde and all the speakers, thank you very much. It was really good. Just a few words to the SMEs now, because this was our first webinar, and it was a way to show you the process. It gave you also insight on practical solutions, but it was mainly due to the motivational level. So because also the SMEs participating in Centre can start the same process of sharing, of assessing first. I know we've been asking you a lot of effort for data collection, but keep on. They told you that that was the starting point for a structured and impactful journey. So that's why we're also asking you. And also, please take the next month to share as much as possible with the other SMEs and with your facilitators. You heard that the most value added of these kind of processes. So it doesn't matter where you get at the end of the process. For us, it's important that you start doing these two things. Data collection and assessing really where your needs can be, and also sharing to find the solution during the journey. Not that you start with a ready-made solution, but you find it within your organization and exchange it with other organizations. So you already started the process, and we have many months for keeping on, but we want you to keep on this way, exactly as Rispetto showed you. Okay, so
it could be nice in a few months. It can be the opposite. You will share your experience with us.
Yes, it would be great. Thank you. We will do it. We will do it.
For sure. So we have to take an appointment, and in 6 months, you will share your experience with us.
Fantastic.
And we will learn a lot about you.
Yes.
That's sure.
Perfect. We will do it. And thank you very much, everyone. Daphne, Geneviève, if you want to say something, we will talk again in the next webinar, but you will talk with your facilitators first, and we will talk again with respect to them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for joining.
And
Have a great rest of the week.
Don't forget to have fun. Huh? See you.
Bye.